Expectations can be good or bad. Let's go for the good ones.
Yes.
Communicate your expectations.
Communicate your
follow
expectations.
through with what you know your spouse expects of you as best as you can. And when you fall short,
have grace with each other.
Have grace with each other. That's the whole thing.
That's the gist.
Now you don't even need to listen.
See?
Just kidding. Welcome back to the You, Me, Us Together podcast. We're the Roots. I'm Cambria.
And I'm Noah.
Yes.
Yep.
Is that all I have for intro? What else do I need to say?
I guess. Follow us on social media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably get tired of hearing that.
Yeah. It doesn't. Do whatever you want. We're just here talking. If you listen, great. If not, whatever.
Okay.
We're just here to talk.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow us on social media if you'd
Yep.
like. We're everywhere. We're not on Twitter yet.
That's true.
We're working on that.
Yeah.
But Instagram, Facebook, TikTok.
Our handle is youmeus.together.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
You're right.
Thanks for...
I had forgotten. Yeah, I had trouble this week. I was trying to show someone our Facebook and couldn't find it.
Yeah.
Like, search for it, and I could not find it anywhere. I used her phone, searched for it, couldn't find it. Then you searched for it on your phone and found it, but I don't know if that's because you're on your account
or what.
And you're connected to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to figure that out. So sorry if you're like, you're not actually everywhere. I haven't found you on Facebook.
Yeah, I promise we have a Facebook page.
Do.
It's one of our biggest pieces of, biggest platforms.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Yeah.
We need to go through the settings and just make sure they're all right.
Yeah. Sometimes when I'm on my personal YouTube account and I search for it, I can't find it either.
That's
I
weird.
don't know what's up with that, but...
Yeah. So, anyway, there's always kinks with technology. We know that.
Yeah.
So, I apologize. I'm going to apologize right now.
Why?
If my face looks disgusting, it's because I didn't wash it. I haven't
It doesn't
showered.
look bad.
Doesn't? It doesn't?
No,
like
not
my
really.
hairline I thought was really gross.
It doesn't look... Your hairline is a little gross if you pull your hair back, but...
Oh, okay.
It doesn't look too bad. Your hair doesn't look bad. It looks fluffy today. Like, it's not really tamed.
Fun.
But it's because we showered last night.
Yeah.
It's clean.
Yeah. I worked all day in the shop today, and I have not showered yet.
So that's okay.
It's all
You
good.
don't need to shower. We're going to the lake tomorrow.
That's right. Yeah.
Let's wash it off there.
I promise we do care about hygiene.
Okay. Today, what we're talking about.
Yes.
Actually, first, are there any other announcements we have to give?
I don't think so.
All right. Today, what we're talking about is expectations.
Yes.
Which is a very broad subject. And we're not covering the whole subject.
No. We're going to touch on some different things. And if at any point during this episode you feel like, man, I don't feel like you went very deep on that, or I don't understand what you're trying to convey, leave a comment. Obviously, if you're on, like, Apple Podcasts, you can't. But
that's when you can go to our social media.
That's right. Get a hold of us. So we're... just let us know if there's something that doesn't click right. We've had a couple of people reach out to us recently about posts we've done, and it's really helped us to talk through it, like, what did we mean by saying this? Yeah. And we were able to work through that and help them actually come to a conclusion. So, anyway, if you have any questions, we're going to bounce from here to there. We're going to talk about a lot of things regarding expectations.
Yeah.
In marriage, in relationships, in all that. So, yeah.
You want to start us off?
Oh, do you want to say what episode number it is in case people didn't know because they already clicked on it?
I forgot to say that. Usually we say that at the beginning.
Right at the beginning.
I think it's episode 27.
Yeehaw.
That's
so
crazy.
Many.
We're getting close to 30.
Yeah, we might have to go to season 2.
Our podcast episodes are older than us.
Wow.
Like, if you're, like, 27.
We're babies.
Yes, you're only 23.
I know. I'm a child.
Yeah.
Yep.
I am old.
You
I'm
are
24.
Old. Yep. Yep. my advice for guys getting married, marry up. The older ladies know where it's at.
Okay.
All right, we're going to move on now to the content of the day.
All right. Go for it.
Okay. So, some different categories of expectations that we have in relationships. I would say they are things I expect you to do for us, things I expect each of us to handle on our own, things I expect that I should be able to take care of for our family. I do want to touch on like expectations also of expectations of how we interact with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just to clarify, tell me if I'm wrong, but we're not talking about like negative expectations. Like
No.
that happens all the time where there's miscommunication because of unmet expectations or uncommunicated expectations.
Yes. Uncommunicated expectations is a good way to put it.
Yeah, uncommunicated expectations. And I feel like whenever I think of expectations, I think of it in a way like that.
Yeah.
Where it's not a good thing. It's like, oh, you shouldn't have expectations. That just leads to conflict.
Yeah.
But the reality is there are some expectations in marriage that are good, that should be there.
Yeah, and they're not going to be exactly the same among all couples. But some of the ones we're going to talk about, I feel like are really good things to build into your marriage if you don't have those already in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, I can start by talking about things that I, maybe coming into marriage, I expected that I would just take care of them.
Yeah.
And we can go from there. Something you mentioned when we first started talking about this topic was I expect that I will have to take care of the cars, right? And the house.
I expect that you will take care of the cars too because you work part-time as a mechanic.
Yeah. Well, not even that though. It's like I don't know. It's like
you're good at it.
I feel like that is okay to be the man's job.
Yeah.
Obviously some women are mechanics, or some women are more mechanically inclined than than their spouse. We work with a couple at Weekend Term Members, and he has a story about how he's like, I am not the Mr. Fix-It in our house. My wife is. I don't have tools. I have to use her pink ones. And things like that. So
yeah.
I know that it can go the other way, but for a lot of couples, it does lean this way.
Well, for us, you're good at it. You know what you're doing. I don't. Yeah. So it just makes sense that since you know, you handle it.
Right. So anyway, taking care of the cars, absolutely. Fixing the house, making sure things are in order, things like that. Yeah. In regards to the house, though, I expect that you will make it comfortable for us.
Yeah.
And I think is that an okay expectation for me to have?
Yes, because I have a very creative, design-focused mind, and that's something that's very important to me.
Yeah.
Is for my house to be comfortable.
Right. Yeah, I am standard as a guy in that way, where it's like, I seriously would be fine if I just had my mattress on the floor and that's it.
We did have our mattress on the floor for a while.
Why is that?
Because we lived at John and Kirsten's house.
Oh, that's right. That's true, huh?
We did.
You made it very homey, even with the mattress on the floor.
We got skills.
But yeah, it's just like, I just don't care. And I think a lot of guys fall into that category of, it's like, a house is a place for me to eat food and sleep and... Yeah.
Does it actually make you feel loved, though, that I make it feel homey?
Yeah.
Like, if I was just like, oh, I don't care either, would that bother you? Or do you actually like that I do that for you?
I don't know that it would bother me that much, but I love coming into our home because I know that you've put in work to make it feel like our own space.
Yeah.
It's not some generic space, especially because we live in an RV. So it's like, it's pre-decorated and all of that pre-set up. And the fact that you've made a point to do things to actually make it feel more like us, I really like.
Good.
Because it feels like our space instead of just a space that we're in.
Yeah. And I work really hard to make it our home, not my home.
Right. So you put up with my dirty fingerprints.
Yeah. But like, I ask your opinion on some things, on colors. If I'm going to change the comforter on the bed, I'm not just going to pick whatever I want. I'm going to ask your opinion. And
Sure.
a lot of times you don't have a preference, but like, I know you wouldn't love a floral design.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to choose that.
Right.
I'm going to find something that we both like.
I appreciate that. That's really kind
Because
of you.
it's our home.
Right. So, anyway, I expect you to make our home feel cozy for sure. I don't know. Where should we move from here? I'm sorry, I'm a little slow right now.
So kind of the point of this, we're just going through some examples between the two of us, but there's certain things that we expect each other to do, to take care of in order to make this work.
Yeah.
Because if we never communicate about anything, we just say, you do you, I'll do me.
Yeah.
That's not a team. If we never talk about what we expect, then I'm going to get mad at you for not doing the dishes, even though you don't know that that should be your job.
Exactly.
So it's something, a lot of these things, this is how we operate. These are the things that you and I specifically have decided are expectations between each other, but because we've talked about them.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about tasks when it comes to expectations. Mm-hmm. So, like doing the dishes, right? I've heard a lot of men say, because there's this whole thing about, the best foreplay starts in the kitchen, right? You've heard that. We've heard that before. Some people haven't, obviously.
There's actually one of the
books that we recommended.
Yeah, I posted today about
Sex Starts in the Kitchen, I think is what it's called.
Yeah, I think they're like different intimacy books, sex books.
Yeah.
That was one of them, and that's one your mom always recommends. She's like, "This one is great," and I'm like, "That's a weird title," but
yeah. So the whole idea of it is, a lot of women love the acts of service or the quality time, and that, especially for women, it starts way before the actual intimacy part, right? That's part of the building up of the intimacy. And so, anyway, back to doing the dishes, right? A lot of guys will say, well, I'm not going to do the dishes all the time because it's going to make it so that she expects that I'm going to do the dishes all the time, right? And we have to remember that that's okay. As long as you're willing to do them and you do them with a loving heart towards one another. But that said, right, even if I am so consistent with a task like that, right, and I just do it because I know that you hate doing the dishes, and so I just take care of it, right? Mm-hmm. But if I get in a situation where, we cook and it's late at night and I don't get them done at night, right? And so they move into the next day and I have to go out and work in the shop early, I expect that you can take up the slack.
Yeah.
Because I want this to be a team effort. Back to this is teamwork, right? And so I don't, it makes me feel extra loved when I can come in and be like, man, I know I screwed up and I didn't get the dishes done. But it's also like, I have to have grace for myself because I didn't have time to, right?
Yeah.
And so it needs to be this dance of, I know that is my thing, right? That's my task. Mm-hmm. But I need you to help me with it sometimes.
Yeah. There's always going to be times where one of us is going to fall short.
Yeah. And
that's where the other one can come in with grace, or they cannot, and they can damage the relationship.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to point back at a 50-50 relationship. Couples a lot of time think, well, this is 50-50. We're going to split tasks down the middle. We're going to split money down the middle. We're going to do all that.
Yeah. You do your part, I'll do my part.
And
it'll all work out.
Yeah. The problem is some days you just can't, right? Whether you're sick or you just are drained from the day before or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
You just can't get your 50% done of that day, and maybe you do 30%, right? I need to meet you at and put in 70%.
Yeah.
Or accept the fact that maybe not all 100% will get done every single day, but I need to continue to put in effort. We both need to try and meet each other in the middle.
And continue to put in your best, even
Yes.
if your best only is 30% today.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's not to give you an excuse to not put in effort.
Yeah.
It's simply to recognize that we're human and we're going to not be amazing every single day.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or even most days sometimes.
Yeah. That's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. That was a really
Sorry.
good kind of like concluding point of that
Yeah, it was that section. We could talk about the expectations in public a little bit, if you want. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on that before I...
Let me think. I think also there's something to be said about learning to still feel loved even though your spouse is doing something that you expect them to do. Because I think often the way we feel loved is when something unexpected or different happens. It's like you do something that you don't normally do, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that was great, I feel loved. But if you keep doing that over and over and over, it can be easy for me to just be like, oh yeah, he just does that for me.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you're supposed to do the dishes.
Yeah. Or, right, so let's say I get your car door for you every time. Right?
Yeah.
I don't, by the way. I should do better at that. But anyway, let's say I get your car door for you every time. I have heard stories of, it's a really old school thing where women they'll just sit in the car until their husband comes and opens the door. Or they'll just stand there like, I know he's coming. And that's okay, right? Building those rhythms is great because I want to love you sacrificially, and I'm okay building those things, right?
Yeah.
But I don't want you to get angry with me if I don't.
Yeah.
Or if I'm unable to.
Back to the having grace.
Yes.
Yeah. But I think there's something about consciously remembering to enjoy it.
Oh, or to reward it.
Yeah, or feel the love.
Yeah,
you know?
give...
To, like, remember, like, it's so sweet that he's opening my car door for me.
Yeah. And both internally, like you're talking about.
To appreciate it. But, that's what I'm trying to get to.
Verbal affirmations, even if it's not your spouse's top love language, affirming, I really, occasionally, like, I love that you open my car door for me. Right?
Yeah.
When you do that too much, it feels bland. When you affirm too much, it doesn't. Maybe that's just me because I don't really care about words from other people, but.
Well, that's the point I'm getting to is if you do something too much, eventually you stop appreciating it.
Yeah.
So if you, like you're saying, if you say it too much, they're going to stop appreciating it. That's what I'm trying to get to is if you just keep doing it because it's expected to, eventually I'm just going to stop appreciating it. And so it's important to remember that that's to appreciate it. I don't know how else to say it.
I understand what you're saying. I'm sorry.
But also,
I went in a circle.
From the other end, not getting to the point where, like we kind of talked about before, where you just expect something and then it doesn't get done and you get mad. You just say like, well, that's your job. Yeah. I don't need to deal with that because that's your job. It's okay to have these expectations because you want to have somebody you rely on. If you can't have any expectations with someone, that means you can't rely on them. And then I don't actually know why you're married to them if you can't rely on them.
We've struggled with that a fair bit too, with expectations and especially with scheduling and how do we fit this life together, especially because we're around family so much, right? And they're all doing their own thing and want to be involved with us. And you've told me, I feel like I can't rely on you. Like, you've told me that straight up, because there have been times where, let's say I have said, hey, I need to go, John texted me, I need to go help him in the shop with this one thing. It should only be a few minutes. And then I'm out there for 3 hours, right? And you're like, we were in the middle of working on something and you just left.
Yeah.
And it felt like you were gone the rest of the day. And that's really,
yeah,
that's something we've had to rebuild. And we're still in process of, I feel like.
It seems like expectations kind of correlates with trust.
Yeah, absolutely.
So.
Yeah, and I feel like that's a whole separate category of expectations compared to everyday things that we're just doing to make our life run.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That was a good point to make.
Thank you.
I'm glad you circled back to that.
Thanks.
Yeah. We don't normally do these at night, so they're slow. It's slow today. Yeah. I'm sorry.
All right. Anything else to say on that kind of area?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't have anything else.
I don't think I do either.
I didn't 10 minutes ago, and then you were like, what about this? And then I had more to say.
Yeah.
That happens a lot.
Yeah.
So, things in public,
Mm-hmm.
that's how we interact with each other around other people, and safety, and like how we treat each other in front of people is super
Even if
important.
you don't know the people.
Yeah. Even if you are like, you're out on a date, just the two of you, you don't know anyone around you, right?
Yeah.
It affects people around you with, like, how you interact with each other affects the people around you. We talk about Christ's love all the time, right? And living a Christ-like life, right? It inherently affects the people around you, and they notice it. Even if they don't know what it is that they're feeling or seeing, it's still something that they see, right?
Yeah.
And it's really obvious.
And as Christians, we're called to be examples.
Right.
And it's not something where you can pick and choose. Today I'm just not feeling like being a good example of Christ's love.
Yeah. So I would say being in public around other people like that, you are on a pedestal as a married couple, regardless of if you're religious, right? You are on a pedestal of, we need to act the way that we want people to see our marriage be like, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not saying put on a mask and act like everything's great when it's not. But recognize that people are watching all the time. Yeah. And
there's always somebody watching, whether you like it or not.
Exactly. And so I'm going to make sure to, when we go out on a date or when we're out with friends or whatever, I'm going to make sure to be at my best with us, right? Even if we had a fight that morning, I'm going to make sure that we are in a good place on our way out, right? I want to kind of bury the hatchet on some things, work through some things if we need to, even if that means we get to the restaurant and sit in the car for 20 minutes to work something out. I want to, when we get out of the car to go in, we're set up to be good. We're good with each other, because there's so many attacks on marriage, especially now, right? And we need to make sure that the two of us are good, because someone's going to make a comment, or someone's going to give you a really nasty look or whatever. And if I'm not making sure that I'm, holding the door open for you and pulling your chair out and positioning myself with it, when we go to talk about safety, positioning myself in a way where I feel like we are in I'm making sure you're safe, right? Yeah. In a public space. Sorry, that was a little bit of a rant.
No, you're good.
But there's all those pieces line up together, because we need to be good. So it just feels like a battleground. It's ridiculous.
That's because it is.
I know. It's just like so much.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Because people are always, like, even at the grocery store, people are looking at you, looking how you interact with each other.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. I've noticed sometimes, like, when we're in a group with friends and we're, like, praying or something, like, I'll grab your hand and we'll be holding hands, and I look around and, like, no one else is holding hands with their spouse, and then it makes me feel weird. Then I'm like, oh, I guess we're not doing that. But it's like,
That's important to us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we do it.
Yeah.
And the awesome thing is it may prompt someone else to be like, man, I actually really do want that.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to make a point to do that from now on.
Yeah.
Right?
Especially like knowing your top love language is physical touch.
Mm-hmm.
I go out of my way to make sure I touch you. Not for that to sound inappropriate.
Yeah.
When we're out in public. And so one of my big things is when we're in church, when we start praying, I always put my hand on your knee.
Right.
And it felt awkward because it's like, well, nobody else does this.
Yeah.
But
it's super valuable.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And yeah. And it's setting an example for people around us, regardless of, if they are even in a relationship, right? It's something that they notice and they're like, ooh, I kind of like that. I'm going to make sure that my spouse in the future or current spouse knows this, or I'm going to think about that, or I don't know.
And it's really silly to not do something because it feels uncomfortable, especially when no one's ever told you that it bothers them.
Mm-hmm.
Like something like that. It's not like someone said, why are you touching your husband?
Right.
No one's ever said that, but so why should I feel uncomfortable with it?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah.
So doing those things in public, how we interact in public spaces, whether it's around friends, whether it's around strangers.
Yeah.
I always go to grocery store because I feel like that's
The
where
grocery stores are good.
there's a lot of people you don't know.
Yeah. I always think about a restaurant, but yeah, a grocery store is a good example.
Yeah, we go grocery shopping together more than we eat out together. So that's why I always think of the grocery store. But just like, I don't know.
Yeah. We, I also want to touch on,
What? What's
we
that
were talking about touching.
Sorry.
Anyway. I wanted to touch on how I lost my train of thought. Just talking about how I like, we push each other's buttons when we're at home. We pick on each other a little bit. We mess around.
Yeah.
And when we're out, it's not a time to do that because it can be taken the wrong way. It can be fun between us, but then someone else sees it and they're like, oh, that's okay. I'm going to do that. Right. Or they're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm concerned for that couple. Yeah. When the reality is we're fine. Or
there's like a line because you don't want to not be yourself anymore.
No.
But you don't want to take it so far that someone that sees it is like things, you don't want to set a bad example.
So many things get taken too far. That's all I wanted to get to is
because I don't want to say we're not allowed to pick on each other when we're out because we do that. That's who we are. But we know the line because we've crossed it before.
Right.
Actually, I feel like we cross it fairly often.
Well, and that line, I feel like that line should be a little more strict.
Yeah. And
not
so,
in our own home.
But we know
That's
that
what I'm talking
line.
about.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all I was trying to get to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah.
Nice
it's something a lot of people brush over, like, well, that's just how we are. We're sarcastic and stupid and, but like, especially sarcasm. We've talked about it really early on. Like episode 2 or something, we talked a lot about sarcasm. But it can be super effective. Right?
Super dangerous.
Because there's a hint of truth in every piece of sarcasm, right? And so that hint of truth begins to grow, and over time it's like, man, maybe I don't actually like this person that much, or this feels nasty to me. It turns into this really nasty thing when it was originally just meant to be playful. So limiting sarcasm, especially in public, that's part of the poking fun, I think, is what I wanted to get to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I don't want people to have a bad image of you. And a lot of your image comes from me.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that I'm treating you. Same with how you're treating me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird balance because we don't want to put on a facade for, is that even the right word? Just like we don't want to be fake.
Yeah.
Around other people, even if we don't know those people, right? We don't want to be fake around each other.
Yeah.
And so it's riding that line of, I don't want to be fake, but I also want to make sure that we are setting an example.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that you need to be like the perfect couple every time you go out. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I am saying, like, being conscious of the way we choose to interact with each other.
Yeah.
Because we just forget.
Yeah. And it's okay if you're not doing okay. It's okay if you're having a rough day.
It is.
That doesn't give you an excuse to mistreat your spouse.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly
in public.
Yeah.
Or in private.
Yeah.
But what we're talking about is public.
Yeah.
There's not an excuse to disrespect them. There's not an excuse to put them down.
Yeah, exactly.
You still need to respect them and treat them with respect and love, even if you just had a fight, even if you're having a really hard day.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, how does all that come back to expectations?
Well, it just simply is, I expect you to act right in public the same way you expect me. Mm-hmm. And I expect that we're going to be respectful to one another, right?
Yeah.
Because we can't, it can't be one-sided.
Yeah.
Especially in settings with other people.
Yep.
It just can't. Because, if I am doing everything in my power to make sure that I'm being really honoring and respectful to you, and you're just being nasty to me, it just isn't going to work.
Yep.
Right? And I'm not going to be able to hold that up for very long, right? Because you can't love someone when they're trying to beat you down. It's really hard. You can't do it for very long.
Yeah.
Because eventually we're not meant to take a beating like that.
Yeah.
Forever.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to resolve that before you can actually be in a good place together.
Yep. It's a mutual expectation of respect.
Yeah. Respect has come up a lot recently for us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it has. And just talking about like how, this is a little bit of a tangent, but it's fine, how men need respect over love.
Yeah.
Right? Respect is more important to a man than love is.
Yeah.
Love is great in many forms, but I need to know that my wife respects me.
Yeah. Do you know that I respect you?
I do.
Good.
Yeah. I have it really easy because you latched onto me like that because you went from your parents directly to me. And so
I put a lot of effort in though to make sure you know that I respect you.
You do. Absolutely. And I love that. I really appreciate it.
Because I really truly do respect you and I want you to know that.
Mm-hmm.
So I put in the effort. A lot of effort.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us, just people in general, a lot of people our age, especially in our generation, have so much negative self-talk. And so when you make an effort to make sure that I know that you respect me, it helps me because I will be nasty to myself, right? And if you step in and say, hey, I'm just going to support you. I know maybe this wasn't the best decision, but we're going to move forward and I love you and this is okay, right? And it helps me to say, okay, I'm not here by myself. I'm not going to carry this burden all on my own.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks that maybe I made the wrong decision, but we're going to move forward.
Yeah. But for women, yes, I do want to feel respected by you and know that you respect me. But, like, if for the negative self-talk, if I'm doing that, I don't need you to tell me that you respect me. I need you to tell me that you love me and show me that you love me.
Yeah, you need me to come give you a 90-second hug.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's not like you get one or the other. Men get respect, women get love.
No,
you both
it's not.
get both.
It needs to be mutual, but
there's usually men value respect more than love. If they had to choose one.
Exactly. The value's a lot higher
and
for men.
Women, love is more valuable than respect, and I feel that a lot of times even though I know that you love me, I need to know it a lot of times. I need you to prove it to me or tell me again because I need it confirmed.
Yeah, and what's funny is, I mentioned the hug thing. We talked about that. We were talking about that on Sunday with someone else. And this couple is different. It is very different from us in that way. And she's like, oh, I would hate that if I got, if he insisted that he hug me for 90 seconds. Because she's not a touchy-feely person like that.
I didn't think I was either. Then I married you and I can't get enough.
I know, it's crazy.
I just always want a hug from you.
But showing love through the way that you receive love best is what we're trying to say.
Yep. Got it.
Cool. That's great.
What did you have any other categories of expectations you wanted to talk about?
Not really. There were a couple other things I do want to talk about in regards to expectations, if that's okay.
Yes.
I grew up in a way where I created this expectation of myself. I don't think that's the right word, but I grew up in a way where I now set my expectations so low, super low about anything, so that I won't get hurt
or disappointed.
Exactly. That came from a lot of just change and flexibility in my upbringing. That's just how it was. And I'm now having to go backwards and find a balance in that. Find a happy medium, because I feel like we shouldn't set our expectations to nothing for every situation, but we also shouldn't say, well, this is exactly what the plan needs to be because that's what someone said 6 months ago, right? It's it needs to be somewhere in the middle where we need to learn to be flexible. We need to learn to have grace. We also it's healthy to expect things out of people and expect things to be people to follow through with things.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that comes back to what you were talking about with trust and relying on each other and things like that. It's if you continue to break my expectation, I won't feel like I can rely on you.
Yeah.
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 Now, it's funny because with mundane tasks around the house, right, chores, if you will, we can't expect that we are going to get our jobs when we get married, right? Get our chore list for it, and each of them is different, right? Mm-hmm. And then that's just going to be it for the rest of our marriage, the rest of our life.
Yeah.
Because the reality is our job situation may change, our work, having kids, dealing with losses, whatever, right?
We go through different seasons of life.
Yeah. And so we can't expect that list is going to be the same throughout our whole life.
Yeah.
And so we have to, if he says he's going to do his job is the dishes and he's been really good at it for a long time, and all of a sudden he just never does them, you should probably have a conversation about it and say, what's the deal? And he's like, I just can't do the dishes anymore. Can we trade can I do something else?
Yeah.
Or something like that, I feel like that's important conversations to have.
That's just part of the flexing and
Yeah. What was I going to say? Something about unmet expectations. Uncommunicated expectations. You mentioned that right at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
That is one of, I saw a clip of it today. I wonder if I could find it.
Oh, yeah.
And the guy said, he's a marriage counselor. He said one of the biggest things that breaks down marriages that he sees is uncommunicated expectations.
Yeah. Didn't he say it's one of the biggest reasons for divorce?
Yeah. It's one of the top reasons based on his own experience with people. Yeah, because it's simply that it's like, I've been dropping him hints all the time and he just doesn't get it. Lady, I don't get hints, okay? You need to talk to me. We need to have words, right?
Yeah. Uncommunicated expectations are not good.
Yeah, they're a silent killer because literally we're not talking about what things are going wrong.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to add that in because it's like...
You seem very passionate about this.
I hate that people feel like, well, why isn't he just getting it? I've left little hints, like, why?
Do you feel like I do that to you ever?
You know how much work you're putting in to leave hints when you could just say, this is bothering me. But I'm a very, direct person. Do I feel like you drop hints like that? Not really. There are some things both of us do, especially when it comes to initiating certain intimate activities.
Yeah, like scratching my back.
Yeah. Where, we just choose not to use words, and it's pretty annoying for both of us. Mm-hmm. And it's like, oh, why can't we just get over this? Because it bothers both of us.
Yeah.
And we both struggle with it. It's a really weird thing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Other than that.
Yeah. I know. I feel like I often fall into the trap of, I know uncommunicated expectations can cause so much conflict, so I'm just not going to have expectations. Just don't expect anything.
That's hard.
And that's what I've said, that even not just about our marriage, but
our family and our friends.
Yeah, other people. It's like, Cambridge, just learn, don't expect anything. Don't create any expectations. And I think that's not healthy either, to go that far.
No, it's
obviously not. In some circumstances, it's okay to do that. I've realized being around, especially my family that we don't see all that often, it's
your extended family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or just being in certain situations, we're going on a fun day today.
Yeah.
With a big group, I'm just not going to set any expectations.
Yeah, it's just we're going this way. I'm just along for the ride.
Yeah.
I'm going to try and enjoy myself.
Yeah. And I think that's okay. But in a relationship, something that's lasting forever on this earth, it's not healthy to just say, I just don't have any expectations.
Yeah.
You should have expectations, but they should be communicated and mutually agreed on.
100%. Yeah. And actually, that just boing, brought a big thought to my head.
Boing?
Boing.
Okay.
Ding. What's the sound of the thought? Light bulb. That's the sound.
Oh my gosh.
What's
your thought?
Oh gosh, I got stuck on the movie reference. What was my thought? Oh, wives need to expect. This is something that shouldn't be flexible. Wives should expect that their husbands are going to protect them.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I think there are a couple circumstances where they can't. Like if your
Okay.
husband's disabled.
Sure.
But he should still, it's not like, I think that's the husband's role. And he should do everything in his power for that to happen.
Yeah.
I guess my point is sometimes it looks different how much power he
Of
he
course.
gets. But
Yeah, it does. Of course, sometimes it does look
sorry,
different.
I don't mean to contradict you. I just needed to like talk that out.
Yeah,
I
it
agree with
does.
you. I think that is a husband's role.
Yeah. Now, something I also want to do, I'm going to get a little preachy.
Okay.
I want to talk about how, well, we don't need to really discuss it all that much. But as a husband that is expected to protect my wife, the largest portion of that protection for me needs to be my spiritual health and where I'm at with God, because He is my protector. I am meant to be submissive to my God
And lean on him.
100%. And so if I am not spending time with God, building my relationship with Him, I am missing out on the biggest point of protecting my family that I could be.
Mm-hmm.
Not everyone believes that, but that's what I choose to believe.
Yeah. I love that. I've realized recently safety and protection is very, very important to me.
Yeah.
And the fact that you take it so seriously makes me feel very loved.
And that's new.
That is new. The last
6 months?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Probably
not something we thought about when we first got married at all.
It is new. And it's weird because, like, where we live is really safe. Like,
where we lived when we first got married, not safe.
Not safe at all. But I didn't even think about that because I didn't live in an unsafe environment. I didn't grow up in an unsafe environment.
Yeah.
And so didn't even cross my mind. But I've just, I don't know if it's from a mix of like hearing about shootings or people going missing, or I don't even know what the mix of things is in me, but it like clicked for me, and it's like, this needs to be a priority for me. I need to make sure that, there are so many situations, especially in public, where I can position myself with you in a way that you are going to be safer because of it. Mm-hmm. And actually, we could even link the podcast that Chris talks all about that. We'd have to find it. But Chris, and I wish I could remember her name, Peaches? I'm pretty sure it's Chris and Peaches. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. Yes, I'm pretty sure.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
That's what she goes by. Okay. I'm pretty sure. Anyway, they're a couple on YouTube. They're everywhere, but their podcast is called To Be Better. They Chris went into this whole thing about protection and safety and all the different situations. He talks about like going in and out of an elevator, going upstairs.
I never thought about an elevator.
Oh yeah, where you're sitting. I saw a clip just today talking about how when they go to a restaurant, he has been so intentional with where he chooses to sit. He chooses to sit in a place where he can have he can see a lot and see the door, right?
Yeah.
And he's done this so much that she now understands he needs this seat. And I'm not going to sit there because then he doesn't have to ask and, all this stuff. Mm-hmm. So we could definitely link that podcast.
Yeah, it could be a whole nother podcast for us too.
It could be.
Because you could go on for a while with this.
Yeah, but it's something that became very clear to me when I listened to that, and I've just been observing various things going on, that why wouldn't I take the extra 2 seconds or the little bit more thought to protect you?
Yeah.
Right? You are the most important person to me on this earth. Sorry, Mom and Dad, but that's it.
They would probably be like, good for you, she better be.
Yeah. And why wouldn't I take the little bit of extra thought to do that?
Yeah. And I love that I get less thought.
Yeah.
My brain is just is always going. And I love when I get to go grocery shopping with you versus by myself, because then I don't have to think about that.
You don't have to be looking over your shoulder or thinking about what's going on with this creepy guy or whatever.
Yeah. It's just, it's gone. It was with me.
Good. That's the way it's, I 100% believe that's the way it's meant to be.
Yeah. So that's why I always ask you to go grocery shopping. I know you don't really like it, but
yeah, it's okay. I can push the cart.
I
Be
just
a big
like,
strong man pushing the cart.
I like being with you, and I like that not having to have that extra thought in my head.
Yeah.
I know I'm perfectly capable of doing it myself.
Of course. Yeah.
But.
So. All the expectations. We
Yeah.
could go on. If you have questions, we are happy to answer them either in a podcast or a personal message or whatever. Video call if they're that important.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like we've covered it for now.
Yeah.
So.
Expectations can be good or bad. Let's go for the good ones.
Yes. 100%.
Communicate your expectations.
Communicate your
follow
expectations.
through with what you know your spouse expects of you. As best as you can.
Yep.
And when you fall short,
have grace with each other.
Have grace with each other. That's the whole thing.
That's the gist.
Now you don't even need to listen.
See?
Just kidding. It's the end of the podcast.
We should bookmark this part and say, this is all you need to listen to if you don't care about the rest.
Yeah. We'll just put this as the clip in the beginning.
There you go. Boom.
Boom.
All right. See you guys next week.
I
Thanks for listening. If you made
to see you guys next week.
Yeah, if you made it this far, you are a true follower. Because we ramble.
Yeah.
So thanks again.
Thanks, Mom and Dad.
Love you all.
Right?
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
And Sophie.
Yeah.
Sophie says she listens to a lot of these.
She misses us, I guess. She
Yeah.
needs to hear our voices. We love you, Sophie. Okay, we should be done now.
Okay.
Goodbye.
Bye.